Hello everybody, Gadget Boy here. You'll notice that today I don't have a lot of electronics in front of me. Instead I have this interesting little wood kit. I hadn't planned on actually building this on camera, but I decided this is actually a really cool product, so I'll go ahead and record my building of it and throw it on YouTube, because why not? So what this is it's a kit done by a company called Solarbotics. They typically do neat little solar robots. This one is actually battery powered, although if you want to pay another $15 you can get kind of a really low quality solar panel to go on it. But I went with the battery powered version. And I just kind of wanted to share the sort of interesting product that they've got here. So the first thing that's kind of interesting is the odor that's emanating from these pieces of wood. You've got your standard sort of wood shop smell, but then there's also the sort of smoky smell of burnt wood, and that's because these kits are laser cut, which is really neat. I have over here, so where is that? Is it in my drawer? Well, I don't have it right to hand, but I actually have a very high intensity ultraviolet laser that I sometimes play around with. My avatar on YouTube is actually me igniting a hookah coal with that very laser. And it's kind of the same principle, only it's a much more powerful and much better focused laser than the one that I have. And they use it to make extremely accurate cuts. So that's how they make the kit. And so I guess we'll just go right ahead and start making it. I have the instructions over here. They're going to be mostly off screen as I just start to work on the project here. So I don't think I'll be doing too much time lapse on this one. Each step requires, looks like it's a fairly footery process here, so I'll just walk you through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And the first step it wants us to do is to do something with these little U-shaped sections here. So we're just going to carefully pop those loose. Does it say anything about needing to sandpaper? It doesn't say anything about needing sandpaper. I'm just going to reach around behind me here and grab an X-Acto knife here to trim some of the excess off. This is actually an X-Acto knife that came included with soldering iron that you're going to see me be using in upcoming videos. I finally got my hands a hold of a really nice high quality soldering station with an integrated heat gun, and I'm pretty excited to start using that on the channel. It's a digitally controlled soldering station, ostensibly made by Yihua, which is a Chinese company that's reasonably well respected for their products. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to apply, I'm going to use my finger to do this, just a very thin layer of wood glue to the bottom of this U piece here, just like so. Now the interesting thing about glue is a lot of people think that more is better, and that's actually not true. You just want a very thin sheen with most glues. Epoxies, if you're using like one of those 5-minute epoxies, it can sometimes be advantageous to use more, but that's because the epoxy itself becomes sort of a well, it hardens into an actual physical structure. Whereas glues like wood glues, they're meant to just sort of bond the pores of the item that you're gluing together. And if you overdo it, it just gets slippery and doesn't actually seal the pores together. So we're just going to socket that U-shaped piece, like so, into the little divot that they created using the laser. So what they actually did was, on this slightly longer piece on the bottom, they actually used the laser to shave off just a little tiny bit to give a sort of a socket for that top piece to fit into. So there's that step. Let's see. The next part it wants us to do is pop out this spiral bit here. And I've purposefully not told you what this thing does. We're going to find out at the end of the video. Well, I already know what it does, but you guys will find out what this does at the end of the video. If you don't figure out probably about a third of the way into the video. But so the next step is we're going to grab this, this little spiral looking piece here. Just going to lightly shave off the excess flashing there. And then we need this little bit here. We'll pop that out. Do the same thing. That burny smell is actually really rather quite strong. I was enjoying it at first, and now it's kind of slightly making my eyes water. But anyway, so the next thing we have to do is apply a little glue onto the bottom of this one, like so. Again, we're just going to put a little dab on the finger and grab the piece and just put a very thin coating on it. And then I've got a paper towel over here to clean my fingers off with. And we'll just socket that into the same little section. Or not same little section, but what is the same kind of section, but it's not the same as the U piece, of course. Same little, they just etch a little divot into the wood for the piece to align into. So we'll just make sure that gets aligned nicely in there, and then we'll set it aside. And then the next step is, oh, it's over here. So we need this piece and this piece. There we go. Actually, just to make things a little interesting, drop a comment in the comments as to at what point in the video you've figured out what I'm building. No fear if you've already built one of these and know exactly what it is off the top of your head, but kind of curious to see how fast people figure it out. Anyway, so I don't know if you can see it on the camera very well, but you see there's a portion here along the top that's a little bit darker. That's actually recessed just a tiny bit, where they've eaten it off with the laser. You can do some pretty neat stuff with laser cut products like this, just because you can control how deep a laser cuts, you can control how wide it cuts, and of course with stepper motors and all of the other various CNC programming capabilities, you can do some seriously highly accurate work with lasers. You can do etching, you can do cutting, you can, well, I mean, they can correct your vision with them, so that's something that requires a insane degree of precision. Cutting wood like this is like comparing a Lego set to a Swiss watch when you're thinking about using lasers for cutting someone's eye so that they can see again. So there we go. I'll just set that aside. I'll apologize if I'm rambling a little bit. I'm still recovering from a 12-day stretch at work. That's why I've missed a couple of videos. Well, I've missed 2 weeks worth of videos, 2 weeks and 1 day worth of videos, as a result of, we had a bit of a crisis at work, and I had to step up and take over the night audit job for a week and a half, train 2 people. It was quite a thing. Anyway, the next step here is we need to pop this piece loose. We need the B piece. So let's put this off to one side here. The B piece. And then we need A, C, D, E. So we need A, B, C, D, E, F. So A. Oh, that's B. This is A. Yep. A, B, C, D. Carefully popping these out. I don't want to break any of the teeth on the gears here. And F. There we go. And I've got to pop the middle pieces out here. There we go. This is just flashing, basically. It's nothing important here, just extra wood. There we go. Alright, so we make that go away. Just quick inspection for the extra flashing. We'll trim off here, especially inside the gear here. We probably want to make sure that's as clean as possible. There we go. This might be a little easier with sandpaper, but I didn't think about that, and I didn't buy any. Should the manufacturers of this product be watching this video, throwing a little square of sandpaper into the kit might be a beneficial idea for those of us who are too stupid to go buy some before starting to work on a project. So I'm just gonna trim off the little fuzzy bits. They leave just a tiny bit of the wood still attached, so that the pieces don't go all over the place. So we'll just clean that off. There we go. Alright, now this looks like, how do I want to do this? It says glue is optional. I'm thinking I'm going to want to actually glue it, so I just need to figure out. Oh, that's actually quite a tight fit, though. Oof. Maybe I don't need glue. So that's A, so that needs to go. I think I'm going to skip the glue on these pieces. They're super tight. Good grief. There we go. So A and then C. This is challenging. Oh. There we go. Yeah, I think glue is not going to be necessary for this section. So A, then C, then I need D. Oh, that is a tight fit. I'm actually a little bit nervous about pushing too hard on this. I don't want to break it. Ah. So that's the other thing that's interesting about lasers, and I mentioned this in my review of the Elderwood Spellbook dice box that is also on my channel. The lasers can be so accurate that there's basically zero tolerance on the in between the parts. As we see here, the tolerance is so tight that I can barely slide the part on. There we go. It's just a matter of breaking that initial friction. There we go. Ooh, actually kind of buckled the wood a little bit there. That's not a good sign. Alright, and then part E. In case you're wondering how I know these parts, this is probably definitely not going to show on camera, but they've again used the laser to etch the part letter on each individual part. Oops. This one is super tight. Oh boy. I think I got it. This is pretty challenging. Ah. So this doesn't run too long, I'm going to pause for a moment while I fight with this. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, and we're back. What I actually ended up having to do was take my X-Acto knife and shave just a little tiny bit of wood off of the edges of this. I hope that won't mess it up later, but that was so tight that I could not get those last two spacers on unless I'd shaven a little bit of wood off. Then they went right on quite simply. Alright, next we need the gear assembly. Oh, I was using that to bang well, to try to bang the discs into place. Okay, so the next thing is the gear wheel assembly. So that's this mess here. So we'll just pop these loose, this one very carefully because we don't want to damage the teeth. Just be very careful with this. There we go. Really don't want to break teeth or crack the wood. There we go. And we'll just pop all the extra internal bits out here. Like so. There's that one all cleaned out. And then we'll do the same with this one. Interesting shapes there. Oops. So I fling a piece halfway across the room. Alright, there's that one. And we need this one. here. Definitely some trimming to be done on that piece. This piece of wood is all done, so we'll toss that off to the side. Let's see, we also need this one. Oops. Push out all the extra bits. Cooperate, you. There we go. Alright, so we need in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Oh, there's the piece I was missing. I discarded it because it looked like one of the bits of flashing. Alright. So we'll just clean off the little flashy bits here. There we go. Probably people going to gripe about my trimming technique, pulling the blade towards my thumb like this, but I find that when I'm trying to trim something in a precision fashion, trying to cut away from me while also keeping a modicum of precision to the process is prohibitively difficult. So I just prefer to endanger my thumb. There we go. Just quickly clean these up. That needs to go over there. That's junk. We'll just trim this off. There we go. Trim that off. There we go. It's all clean. I just have a little bit on this and that. There we go. Alright, so those are done. Now I need to follow the assembly instructions here. So face up. So that's E. And then E needs D underneath it. There's this little tab that says alignment tab. So we're going to slide this into the alignment tab hole. There we go. So E and then D face up. Okay. So clips that together. And then C face up. There we go. Just slip that in there. And then you need to take this funny little key-shaped thing and slide it into the center here. It's going to need a little bit of a trim. So we're just going to bevel the edges a little bit here to make inserting it into the spoke a little bit easier here. There we go. That is still a super tight fit. Yeah. There we go. Wow, that's really tight. Alright, I'll be back again. Okay, I'm back again. That was just a remarkably difficult process of finagling all of the parts that had to fit together into their appropriate positions while squeezing the tabs in. Suggestion to the manufacturers, again, if you're watching this, maybe lighten up on the tolerances there. Make the parts easier to fit together, but make glue a required component. Because I've had to squeeze some of these so hard that I've been a little nervous that I was going to potentially break the wood as I was squeezing it. So that would be an unfortunate thing to have happen. Alright, let's see. So there's the outer wheel frame squeezed in. Now I need to slide the crank handle spacer and caps onto the shaft of the gear. Okay, so that's, let's see, there's nothing left on that frame, so we'll toss that. Nothing left on that frame, so we'll toss that. So now we need the crank. There we go. And these two funny looking little things. Do I need any? Is this one done? Yep, we'll toss that off to the side. Just kind of trying to declutter the desk here as I work. I'll clean these off. Pop the little bit loose. And it's interesting, as I've been working on this, the singed smell is actually getting much stronger. I guess that makes a certain amount of sense. I'm exposing more of the lasered surface area as I'm unpacking these parts, so the smell would get a little stronger. But here we go. I'll just quickly shave the last little bit of flashing off that. I'll pop that out. Alright, so then we have to slide this onto the shaft here. There we go, there's that on. And then this needs to go on. And, didn't leave me much room to actually finish putting that on, did they? I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that. Just a tiny bit. Another dab on the finger there. You could also use a popsicle stick or something like that, but I'm just going to put 2 little dabs on the ends there, and then we'll squish this on, making sure the glue makes contact there. Alright, so there we go, those are now attached. Attach the spiral frame, that would be this thing, by pushing it into the base. There we go. If this piece is important. Looks like it should be, but I don't see any instructions for it. We'll just hold on to it for the moment. Again, just trimming off the flashing. Looks like there's some teeth here. That's interesting. I'm sure they're intentional. So right here you can see the 3 little serrations there. All right, so that goes on into these slots, like there and there. Ah, boy, that's a really tight fit. Yeah. There we go. I was having to push on that so hard that I'm making the whole table rattle. Oh, I see. And then battery pack, just friction fits into there, just like everything else friction fits in this kit. So we'll just these wires are probably going to get in the way, but we'll start just by doing that. Okay, so the spiral frame is in. Now we need the spiral rail. Start at the top, then push the spiral downward. While pushing, slide the spiral back and forth to lock the rail under each knot. Under each notch is the word. So I guess this goes like this, like that, and then like that. I see what they're getting at here. Maybe I need to pop this loose temporarily. I'll be back. Okay, we're back once again. That was exceedingly difficult and quite a bit frustrating, but I got it to work in the end. I have absolutely no advice other than just be patient and keep working at it and try very hard not to break it. I managed not to break it. A little surprised on that, but so the next thing we need to do is I'm just dabbing a little bit of glue onto that so that I can get it to seat in its spot here. And I put way too much on, which means it's going to take forever to dry. It's another reason why you don't use a lot. Let's just reduce that a little bit. All right. Hey, if I had my new soldering station with the heat gun, I could accelerate this process a little bit. I'll be back. I'm gonna have to hold this in place for a bit. Alright, we're back. That was kind of annoying because the glue clip kept slipping and then it got too dry to glue, so I had to scrape it off and then start over again. But anyway, so we're done. I did take the liberty of also gluing the other bits on, and I'm sure by now everybody has figured out what this does. It's a little marble machine. Now I just have to... Ooh. Oh, there is a screw for the battery pack. Interesting. Okay. now the next challenge is making sure that the battery pack wires don't get in the way of the marbles as they feed into the machine. So it says initially to load the marbles, and then by manually cranking, I'm going to see if I can just get away with turning it on. So the next stage, according to the instructions, is just to tweak with the rails and make sure it all gets aligned. And I'm not going to bother doing that on camera. The only other thing that worries me is this was a very deliberately cut piece, and there weren't any instructions for it. So I have no idea what that's for. Maybe it's for poking marbles out if they get jammed or something, but it's a very deliberately made piece that was in the frame here that didn't have any instructions with it. So I'm gonna fiddle with this until the marbles do exactly as they're supposed to, and then I'll demonstrate it a little bit more on camera. So I'll be back again. Alright, so there we have it. I think I got it all calibrated, and that's all it does. It just sits there and feeds marbles continuously through the machine, and they spin down the spiral path there and feed themselves back through the machine. So I hope you enjoyed watching me fiddle with the little spiral marble maze thing, and if you liked it, hit that thumbs up button, share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next video. And I'll be showing off my soldering iron, my new soldering iron in the next video. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.